Earlier this week, I was at an event, a hiring event for a dream job, and it was a 1 week event. And one day I had parked in a spot in the parking garage, and I did very well that day. And so the next day, when I was going to meet with another team, I decided that I had to park in the same space. Not necessarily because I am superstitious, but because I wanted to make sure I couldn't have something to blame myself for. If I didn't park in the same space and something didn't go the best way it could have, I would always wonder what if I had just done that. I wanted to eliminate the potential what if questions. I have events like this throughout my life. There was a time when I was in college. When I was in college, a lot of people were getting rid of their landlines and using their cell phones more permanently. And I had a classmate whose parents had decided to get rid of their landline. And as a result, well, not as a result, but coincidentally at the same time, this friend of mine, he started smoking. And he has been trying to stop smoking ever since then. I think the reason he doesn't succeed is because he takes the wrong approach to it. He views it as sacrificing smoking as opposed to freeing himself of smoking. I've watched him do it, and um, in any event, I came to the conclusion that getting rid of cell phone numbers is probably a bad idea. And as a result, I've kept my phone number, even though I've switched area codes a few times. I'm really hesitating on changing my phone number for that reason. Not necessarily because it will cause me to start smoking or to gain an addiction, but because I want to eliminate the possibility that if I ever get an addiction of any sort, whether it's caused by phone numbers or not. I don't want to have something to blame. I don't want to say, what if I had only not changed my phone number back then? What ifs will always kill me because you can never really do an experiment and go back in time and change history to see if the same thing would have happened. I sometimes hesitate on switching flights at the last minute when I'm traveling or changing any sort of travel plans. Oh, I get really anxious when I have to do that, even if I get to save time or to get a better flight for some reason. I try to avoid it for the same reason. I don't want to be in the middle of a plane crash and regret the decision. If the original flight that I'm on crashes, well, I guess that's what it is. The other reason, aside from plane crashes, is that I want to know. I'm still looking for my future wife. And if I change flights and I don't meet anybody interesting on that new flight, I'll always wonder who I would have sat next to on the old flight. If I don't change, I might not have the same regrets in the same way. Uh, what else have I done? Investments is another area where this can happen. I have a hard time selling investments, mostly because of sentimental value. In 2011, um, precious metals and rare coins hit a bubble. I hardly sold anything. The other problem with selling investments is that it's very easy for the cash to get lost for various reasons. I mean, I correctly picked of some of the coin bubbles. I sold them, but I didn't seem to reinvest the money as readily. And I've discovered that most of what I have is because I bought and held on to them, some of them for over half of my life already, believe it or not. And once you hold something that long, it becomes very sentimental. Even if it's just numbers in an investment account, it can become very sentimental to see those numbers. What else have I done that's very superstitious? Things, if I do them in a certain way and I feel like I've satisfied all my superstitions, I won't be able to question the what ifs. Trying to think what else have I done. I have various superstitions that I always follow when I go on a date. Um, I I'd gotten taken advantage of financially by a girl when I was working on my PhD at RIT, Rochester Institute of Technology in upstate New York. And I more or less made it a rule to use cash when I go on a date, which is kind of interesting because I normally don't like cash very much because I tend to lose a lot of it. Especially being priding. I sometimes when I go to the store and something comes up at, let's say, $14.86, I don't want to count loose change. I pull out a $20 bill, and then the change just never gets spent. If I'm lucky, I get a rare coin out of it, right? If not, the loose change just sits in the ashtray in the car, or it falls into the sofa when I sit down. Actually, about a year and a half ago, I had totaled a car, and when I went to clean out the car, I found so much change that it almost cheered me up that I had totaled the car. It was a lot of change just because of that reason. But I have a superstition of using cash when I go on a date because I don't want to overspend. Dating is always a tricky part of me. I went on my first date when I was in my 20s. So dating is always a weak point for me because I feel like I have a lot of catching up to do, even though it's not necessarily true. But it's a weakness for me. And now that I've used cash for all my dates in the last 7 years, I don't want to break that habit. Even if I know the girl is responsible, if I break that habit and something wrong goes on the date, I don't want to leave that what if open. What if I had used cash? Even if what went wrong was completely irrelevant. It's kind of like if you go to China, a lot of buildings don't have a fourth floor. In Chinese, the number four sounds like death. And if a hospital had a number four floor, and even if it doesn't cause people to die, it probably doesn't, by the way, people will always wonder if only my relative had stayed on a different floor in the hospital. And it leaves the what if open. And that's what I try to close that what if door up as early as I can. And that's why sometimes I have these weird superstitions. Thanks for watching.